All right, guys. You guys want me to have beef with Abba and Preach, and you're asking me to watch this video. I doubt that I'm just gonna have any beef.
You're just
I'm just busting chops. Because after I had a disagreement with Abba, it's interesting the way the internet works, isn't it? You know, people were upset with, or think I don't like Abba and Preach. It's so weird. I don't know. I guess I just look at it like a real world thing, where these are like people that I work with. And I obviously don't. They're much more successful, and I don't really talk to them. But you know, and so like I don't know. At my workplace, there's plenty of things I disagree with people that I work with. You just don't talk about it, and so like you know, sometimes I'll have a disagreeable take with somebody. I don't think they're bad people. It's just so weird the way the internet works. Anyway, this video is called "Woman Becomes a Man," so I'm assuming that they're a trans man. Realizes life is hard and says we should be more like women. Okay, interesting. I feel like the discourse here, to me, is like, listen, I don't think it's even close to productive to talk about who has it harder, men or women. That's silly. I think that there are men's issues and there are women's issues. What I personally would say, though, is that women's issues are very well represented in society, and or at the very least, the discourse is there. And if a woman expresses a frustration, they tend to be validated on that expression. Whereas if a man does it, they kind of get told to shut up. Now, part of that could be because some of the men who bring up male issues tend to be very misogynistic, like Fresh and Fit and Andrew Tate. And so, like, they're talking about bolstering men at the expense of women, which is wrong. However, some aspects, and I call it TikTok feminism, will try to bolster women at the expense of men, right? And I think that if any of your activist groups have to put down another group in order to platform yourself, then you're not an activist group anymore. You are a hate group. To an extent, you know, I wouldn't call you like a watch list hate group, but like that's not good. And I remember actually I haven't released the video yet, but I talked about something like that in a video. Maybe I'll link it in the description, but I talked about something like this on my stream, where there was this woman talking about emotional labor of women, right? And maybe I'll put the link in the description, even though it hasn't been released yet. It's this video here, and it talks about the emotional labor of women, and I was frustrated because in this video, first of all, this woman was upset because her husband wasn't helping her plan a Mother's Day trip. Now, my understanding is she's a stay-at-home mom, so he's working, right? And on top of that, he was on a business trip. And she was like, she's not helping. He started crying. She was ridiculous. I didn't like this. She was being a baby. My wife agrees with that. But then the next person that we talks about emotional labor in a fundamental way. And I was like, you know, this is frustrating because I feel like this is a communication issue. The idea was like, women don't want to talk to men about a thing that they're bothered by. For instance, a particular behavior their husband might be engaging in, because it's not worth the time. Because then if they do that, they have to educate that man. And it's so frustrating. And I'm like, that's how all communication works. You know, as a man, there's times where I won't assert my perspective on something I might want my wife to do for like a similar reason. It might express itself differently, but you know, there's things it's frustrating. It's frustrating that as like a guy, like, we're told to be more emotional as men, and I think that's good. We shouldn't be more emotional forcefully, but we should be able to express that emotion. And like that, my emotion I'm expressing here is I'm frustrated by things that come off as like anti-male to promote women. Why is this like it's constantly like straight hetero guys, like heterosexual cis men, or it's like that's the undertone. It's like, dude, I have communications problems with my wife too, both ways, and we had a productive conversation here about that, and that's more towards the end. But it's like, wow, like I feel like it's just you know, we both have problems, but male problems just nobody really cares about. And I understand we existed for however long in a patriarchy. I get it. I understand that. But that doesn't mean that I created it. And it doesn't mean that I'm not trying to be a better man every day. You know what I mean? And that's, you know, it doesn't mean I'm still trying to check my privilege and realize the way that I interact with the world. And it's just like, even when you try a little bit, you're like, hey, bro, this is frustrating. No. Come on, bro. Let me express it. So anyway, let's start this video. I was sorry for trauma dumping on you for that. Okay, I think it's a positive, productive discourse to have. All right, men have feelings too. All right, men have feelings too. All right, let's do it. But who most of the time is the one telling men to shut up? Most of the time, it's other men. I disagree with you because, like, on the internet, and maybe that's in the real world, sure, I guess. On the internet, though, no way, man. Like, on the internet, little like boys are told to fuck off anytime they express a frustration. And again, some of them are being sexist, so I understand that. But sometimes, you know, a guy might just be like, "Hey, like, I have an issue," and you're like told, I don't know. I'm just saying, it's frustrating. Let's see what we got here.
Just a guy walking down the street. You're just a guy walking down the street that people cross the street so that they're not near you.
True, dude. I honestly. And I don't blame anybody, but I'm a 6'4", like 350-pound bearded guy, and I dress relatively conservatively. And I'll tell you that the difference between the way that people perceive me when I wear like an LGBTQ shirt versus anything else is insane. People are legitimately afraid of me to the point where they will cross the street or they will avoid me like the plague, okay? Even when I shower. But if I wear an LG, like I did this before, if I wear like gay stuff, because I like wearing it sometimes, like you know, I'm not gay, but like, you know, represent, baby. I've had people come up to me, I like your shirt, I like that. All of a sudden, it's a sign that says I'm not a threat. This shit happens. It's a real thing, bro. You know, it's a real thing.
And friendships are so much harder to build. Because this shit is lonely. Try to think about how you can do little conversations to help their emotional maturity so that they can reach out to people and have deeper guy friendships.
That's fair. I like that, though. That's, like, cool. I like that. This is a trans person who has a unique perspective on the world where, like, I'm assuming when they were growing up, they were probably socialized as a woman. They are a trans man, of course, but they still kind of went up through that developmental phase a little bit more as a woman, and they have a different... That's one of the very difficult things for trans people sometimes, is that they might grow up as one gender, and then when they transition to their authentic self, it can be difficult for them to kind of interact with the world based on the way that they're expected to interact, right? So I think that's a cool thing. I like that discourse, and it's nice that that person is saying something, because they're going to get hate from everybody for that. So for them to be like, yeah, it kind of sucks, kind of lonely as a dude. It's kind of hard for dudes to make friends. Like, okay. You know, I feel like women can struggle to make friends too. But I think it's moving the conversation in the right direction for young men, right?
See, you have to f it up. Yo, your whole invitation rescinded. Ugh.
What do you mean, dude?
All right, today's topic.
I guess I'm hoping this show.
It looks like someone who's trans became born a female, became a man, and they're having some regrets.
Okay.
Nobody told me how lonely being a man.
All right, stop crying. All right, you're a man. Stop crying. I'm just kidding. Isn't that so weird that might be the first reaction? We gotta, you know, I'm just busting chops, but bro, I'm trying to like look up a video. I'm trying to look up the source video and it's like not working. Let's see, the trans coach. I'm kind of curious. I don't know if they're gonna play the whole thing, but if they don't, I want to watch the full thing.
And I had closer friendships with random women I met in the bathroom before I transitioned at clubs because of how open women are.
You meet women in the bathroom? Damn, I gotta go to the bathroom now too. Like literally, I have to pee. That's just weird to me. You meet, imagine being a dude, you're going pee-pee in the potty, and they just look over there and going, it's like, ain't that bad. That's not looking too bad. It's like, thank you, I appreciate that. You know, that's a really nice thing that you said to me. Why do women talk in the bathrooms? Is part of it because you're like, can you have a tampon? Because the guys don't have that. I don't get it. What is it that? Why would you socialize in the bathroom? That's just weird as fuck to me. It's okay.
Yeah, when you go to the washroom, you shut the fuck up. Everybody just talks. You don't talk. You get in there, you shut up.
True. And you want to know what's something that men won't talk about? Shy bladders. Real thing. A lot of guys deal with it. Going into the bathroom and being so shy you can't piss. It's a real thing. A real thing. I agree with that. It's a point. So, it's real.
About your business.
Exactly. I ain't trying to talk to the dude beside me when he got his dick out. What
I'm
the
not
fuck
trying
is
to make
wrong
friends.
with you? Just because we not in a stall don't mean that when I'm using the fucking urinal, you're supposed to make eye contact or say some shit to me. Hey, what's up, man? Hey, don't talk to me. I got my dick out, and you got your dick out, and it's in your hand. Don't talk to me.
Oh, yeah, because the minute both people got their dick out, it's gay.
Yeah, when you peeing and you just be like, hey, what's up? How you doing? Huh?
Hey.
Huh? Eyes straight. I don't even want to see you be like, yo, is it big? No, don't do that. Don't. Eyes straight.
Listen, what's the what is the real issue with comparing? Though I'm looking up a video on TikTok I want to show you. I have to go on my phone though because it's funny and it's gonna be relevant and you're gonna laugh and I ruined it since I'm explaining it. But listen, you know what? If we were more open and expressive, you know, maybe, you know what I mean? Like, hey, that's a nice, your packet. It doesn't have to be big to be nice, you know? We should have that conversation. Unironically, a conversation, the thing that men deal with when it comes to body image is growers versus showers. Real issue, real problem for men. I'm not memeing right now. It's a real problem for men. You know what I mean? Because like, think about that. But just think about it. Oh, well, it's not always. You know what I mean? Like it takes a while to get there, and so maybe you don't feel as confident. This is how I expect all social bathroom interactions to happen, though. This is. I want to normalize this, guys.
Damn. Fuck. Wow. I like your pee-pee.
I think that's how we should operate as men. Should be to do that. Let's shout out to this content creator, Big UU, from TikTok. I think I'm saying his name right. I hope I am. I like that interaction. It's a beautiful stuff. It's beautiful. I kind of want to watch it again because it kind of made me laugh.
Damn. Fuck. Wow. I like your pee-pee.
To be honest with you, what is that? To be fair, though, here, if you think about it, this guy engaged in a cardinal sin. So it's his fault for somebody looking at his pee-pee. I'm going to explain this to you. Generally speaking, in the bathroom, it's not uncommon for there to be 3 stalls. You can tell that this is the middle stall, which means there's one to the right and there's one to the left. I think it's reasonable to say that there are 3. There might be 4, but there are 3. I'm pretty sure there's 3. This guy went to the middle stall. You never, as a man, the middle stall, you don't even use it. If there's 3 stalls, you use the one on the right and you use the one on the left. So by him going in the middle, he's asking for that interaction. And that's the truth. That's the truth. So
This man out here crying because he can't talk to other dudes at the urinal. I think you chose the wrong gender, my friend. You're not ready for this life.
You can't talk to we don't talk. As a matter of fact, there should be a space between y'all.
There should be a wall.
If there's
build it.
If there's urinals,
forget the Mexicans.
If there's urinals,
keep the men out.
You go pee. Mm-hmm. You see someone peeing there, you don't go next to him.
Exactly. I'm saying, dude. There's somebody in the chat said never go to the middle unless they're both used. No, never go into the middle. Period. You piss yourself before you go into the middle stall. That is literally that is the 11th commandment that God gave us. To never use the middle stall never ever.
Canadian, I'll vote for Trump for that.
You go next.
I want that wall.
You leave a space.
We out here having dick hens, and you want to talk to me.
I want to hear the blow dryer and men's pooping in the back.
I don't want to hear what?
They got to do their business. But
I don't want to hear no problem caca, mon cher. No problem caca.
Nobody.
Hey, listen, it's a bathroom. We got to grow up, okay? It's time to just take a shit in the public. I don't shit in publicly. I will eventually. I'm getting older, and eventually you get to a point where you have to poop in public, but...
Talking.
No.
Shut up.
I had in my 8 years of transitioning.
Okay.
Because women are just so much more vulnerable and deep than men.
We deep is just a different kind of deep.
Yeah, I mean, women are more vulnerable and deep. We might be a different type of deep, but like I agree with that. Women are definitely more vulnerable and deep than men. That's like for sure true. I would say that's one of the issues plaguing men is that they don't express themselves as well. Shut up. Sorry, I'm trying to. I forgot I got rid of the video the core video I was looking for.
It's just not deep in the same way, and I wouldn't call necessarily women deep or men deep. It's just different. I wouldn't call the conversation that the girls have in the washroom deep.
That's true.
Sorry, not gonna do that. Oh my god,
I wouldn't either because I used to hang out in the women's washroom. I used to hang out in the women's washroom, and I'd listen to their conversations, and it was and they don't talk about anything intelligent. It's horrible. I actually have a picture. Somebody snapped a picture of me one time as I was peering into a woman's bathroom and listening. So they do not talk about anything deep. I'm just kidding. Shut the fuck up.
Oh my god. That's not deep.
And I think a lot of trans men feel this is we knew what depth felt like before we transitioned. We knew what it felt like to like have people want to hug us.
Okay, it's fair. Fair enough. That's fair.
And to have people want to talk to us.
That's fair. I mean, I don't. The crying is a little much for me, but I understand. I'm trying to be open. more vulnerable myself.
A community, and then you transition and you're just a guy walking down the street that people cross the street so that they're not near you.
Yeah.
Every time I see these videos, I just have to laugh.
What?
I personally, I don't think it's something to laugh at. I think this is perfect. I think this is the most I think this is perfect, the best discourse, because you have somebody who was socialized as a woman, who is a man, trans man, that's able to go like, yo, these are real issues. And I feel like making fun of them too much, you know, jokes are fun, but making fun of them too much, I think like the message should be like, yeah, men do have problems. You know?
It's just like, it's like women who become men and then afterwards it's just like, oh my God.
The loneliness.
This shit's hard. It's like, yeah. Man's privilege, man's privilege. A woman becomes a man's like, yo, this shit sucks.
This shit sucks sometimes.
I think there's a difference between men's relationships with other men and women's relationships with other women. And I think most people who have relationships with both sex understand there's differences.
Sure.
My experience having fostered relationships with men, it just takes longer and takes more investment before a lot of that vulnerability sets in. And you've
probably
been a man now, according to your own words, for 8 years. Very likely that you may have not fostered these traditional male relationships where you get to get that sense of deep vulnerability.
Yeah, plus a lot of times, like, and I don't know about Ab and Preach, but in general, a lot of people, in general, not even men or women, have friends from when they were kids. So, like, I don't really, like, you don't usually, I mean, you might make work friends, of course, but a lot of people, like, their best friends are still their best friend from high school. What is in here? Oh, I've had water. I'm going to test it. Yes, water. Anyway, sorry. Anyway. And so, as a trans, I could see a trans person might struggle in that capacity because, you know, if you're a trans man and you want a male friend, you know, you probably have more women friends from when you grew up, especially since, like, generally speaking, I would say in schools, like, girls are more accepting of gay people and trans people. I'm not saying that guys can't be accepting of it, but I think, like, generally speaking, women tend to be a little bit more open to stuff like that, you know? I'm not saying always, and I'm not saying that, like, I'm just saying that that's my, and maybe that's anecdotal, but it seems like women are a little bit more compassionate for people like, you know, just people like LGBTQ people. You know, the traditional guy is just like, I don't want my son to be gay. And the mom's like, stop, don't hit him, you know? So, and I could be a little bit off there. But I feel like that might be what it is. Yeah, you still have the same group of friends from kindergarten? Yeah, see, yeah. And so that might be a struggle as well. But meeting men in the bathroom, do something else. Go bowling or Call of Duty. You might not like the type of guys you'll meet. But,
and it doesn't always manifest itself in the same way, but it doesn't mean it's not always powerful.
Yeah, guys are also super edgy. Like, I feel like male humor is a little bit much edgier than women's humor. My wife doesn't like, well, my wife likes my sense of humor sometimes, but, like, overall, my wife doesn't carry the same edgy sense of humor that I have. And so, like, even let's just say it's like, I think women are generally more accepting of LGBTQ, but, like, let's say that's not even the case. Men typically make more edgy jokes. That might make a person that is part of the LGBTQ feel uncomfortable, even if you don't mean to make them uncomfortable, right? So there's a lot of moving parts there.
Or meaningful things like that. I can assure you, in my life, the men I know, there's been
also, if you want to be friends with guys, you have to go out and get a beer. What? Piss water? No, thank you.
Well, it's a very intense vulnerability, and it's been, you know, things that are welcomed and they're fine. If you want to be a man, and then also, I know for me, I prefer my male relationships and friendships to my female relationships, friendships.
Man,
but not everyone's going to jive with the same thing, so I can actually understand why he is suffering and why he has this issue. If he's looking for that kind of relationship as a now man or presenting as a man, it's hard for him to have that.
What are you presenting it? All right, I'm not even going to...
It's not the same. It's just like whenever. No. It's just like whenever I talk to some of my girlfriends and the lesbian ones, you know, and they're like, "Yeah, I can match a girl the same way." No, you can't. You're a girl. Yeah. It's a whole different universe.
I can't get women.
Do not mac other. It's not because we're after the same thing.
What is macking? Like, get a girl?
That the result or the experience is the same. Yeah, if I go to a girl, man, she got her guard up. If you go, it's a...
Oh yeah, okay, now yeah, it's probably easier. I don't know, it might be a little easier for a lesbian to pick up girls than it is for a guy. At least like a public interaction, because dudes can be a little scary. You know, I get it, especially me. I gotta get a haircut. I look fucking preposterous.
Different thing.
And friendships are so much harder to build. And people are colder. And what's hard is none of this invalidates how real and raw women and people who are in marginalized groups feel about cis white men. All of that's valid.
I'm only laughing because, like, I'm only laughing because this dude is like, yo, men have problems too, but make sure we understand that men also kind of stink a little bit. It's just funny. We got to make sure we qualify that point so that the fucking online atmosphere doesn't dog on this dude. Oh my god, it's funny. Yeah, guys.
people who are in marginalized groups feel about cis white men.
White men too. Fuck. I forgot. Black men and every other type of man is perfect. I mean, they're all the same type of man, but different race. I forgot. White men are the worst. Like, come on, bro. You gotta throw. I gotta make sure. Well, listen, I'm struggling, but also white men. I know they kind of suck. Only white cisgendered men, though. Like, yeah. I mean, I agree. You know what I think? The only reason that people are so upset with like straight white cisgendered men, is because we're just always right, and I think that there's a profound amount of resentment. Sorry, I think that there's a profound amount of resentment that everybody else has of how amazing and incredible we are, right? And everybody's just like, oh, I wish I was. Like you secretly wish you were a straight white cisgendered man. It's a skill issue, to be honest with you. It's a skill issue. Let's be real, okay? I'm obviously kidding, but incorrect. You're wrong, Emily. You know it. That's real. I'll say it how it is. Everybody wishes they were me. Nah, I'm just busting chops. I just feel.
All of that's valid. But I also now understand why the suicide rate is so much higher in men.
Yeah, well, let's be very clear about the suicidality in men, okay? Let's be very real here. Women attempt more than men. But men are just better than women, so we are more effective at killing ourselves. That's what I'm just saying, dude. It's a fucking skill issue, bitch. I'm just kidding. I have to qualify that these are jokes. But it's actually true. Women do attempt at higher rates. Men just tend to be more effective at it. Don't do it. It's a PSA. Somebody does love you, and you are worth loving. But anywhere you look, over here, over there, men are just outclassing women. It's just fucking crazy, bro. I don't know what else to tell you. Sorry, not sorry. What's going on, Willie? How you doing, brother? It's just a success. We just have a higher. Okay, I gotta stop fucking around because this is a little too much even for me. W men, yeah, W men. It's incredible stuff. It's incredible.
Because this shit is lonely, and I'm an emotionally mature man.
Bring it in, brother. One of us. One of us. It seems like you've really transitioned. Welcome to the club, brother. Now you know how tough it is. Man, we had before. It wasn't a test. It wasn't the blockers. It was once you hit that, oh shit. They look at me and see a threat. Oh, now you a man. When you walk by a park and a mom hides her kids, oh, now you a man. Yeah, welcome to that man life. Nothing reminds me more of the fact that I'm a man than when I don't have my period. Thank you, Jesus. And when I walk down the street and it's late and there's a woman in front of me and I can see she's scared. I ain't trying to do nothing, but I already know.
Yeah, you just gotta walk a little bit farther back. No big deal, What are you gonna do? Sometimes I'll cross the street for people so that they don't have to go out of their way to cross just the street for me. That's how good of a guy I am.
Man, yay! Welcome to the club. Just want to welcome you.
Oh, what do you mean? I can't go to the park alone where there's kids and women playing with their kids?
Yo,
no,
bro, it's true.
Weird. That's weird.
Yo,
I can't just.
I didn't believe in trans stuff before, but now I do.
It's true. There is an interesting, it makes sense. Like the way that we talk to women and men versus the way that we talk about kids to women and men is very interesting in society, because the reality is that there are more like male predators, right? And so like when it comes to male education on like kids, like we've been taught to just fucking stay away. You're not even allowed to like kids. It's been a really weird feeling because I want to have kids, and my wife's best friend just visited, and like she's considered that kid's aunt, so I'm kind of the kid's uncle. I was like, oh, this kid's cute. I like kids, and I was like, we've been taught to think that that's uncomfortable. Obviously, I'm not going to go to a fucking park unless I had a kid. It's weird of anybody to go to a park without a kid. Let's just be real. But that whole like situation is like that's like if I've mentioned children as a guy, it's like almost terrifying. Hey, kids are some kids can be cute. That kid was cute. Some kids are ugly as shit. Let's just be fucking real. I'm not trying to be rude. I would never say it to somebody's kid when I scroll on their TikTok. But holy fuck, Jesus. Jesus Christ. What the hell happened? You know what I mean? Something did. I wonder if I had pictures of me when I was a kid. From my mom. Let's see if my mommy has pictures of me as a kid. She sends me so many weird fucking emoji pictures. She's such a weirdo. Oh my god. I don't know if I'll be able to But let's continue.
Transition. Yeah, he really one of us. Yeah. You one of us. Now you even thinking about self-deletion. Welcome to the club.
Like, I'm not saying it's a good thing, but
it be like that. You not getting in the club for free?
It be like that. Yeah,
you paying on the first day?
You pay on the
Come
first
on
day.
now.
Don't come in this.
When you download apps, you making the first move.
Yeah.
True.
You look dangerous to everybody. Yeah.
I think that we should normalize women hitting on men. Make us feel more comfortable for once. I can't find a picture of me as a kid, unfortunate, because it's silly looking.
Hey, you want to work in that daycare? Hell no. Welcome to one of us. No.
My girl caught me slipping. Yeah.
What the hell is this?
You know we play. Let's say she says, I want to watch a movie. And I'm like, you're going to sleep during that movie. She's like, no, I'm not. I'm like, okay. And we watch the movie. And she sleeps in the movie.
I got it.
What I do is I film her and I show her later.
Yeah, and I hit her. Okay. Sorry, that was a joke. What do we watch? What's the ad?
And drinking the plane. And she says, no, you're not. You're arguing in the back of I was wearing those.
What's the ad?
The Raycon earbuds.
Oh, it's Raycon earbuds. All right, go buy Raycon earbuds, guys. I like that picture.
15% off on us.
I know how to build friendships, and it is still really, really hard. Try to think about how you can, in your small little community where you feel safe, can reach out to the men in your life and just help them feel maybe seen for a moment.
Okay.
Or
that's nice advice.
Do little conversations to help their emotional maturity so that they can reach out to people and have deeper guy friends.
Ugh, see, you have to fuck it up. Yo, your whole fucking invitation.
Wait, what's wrong with that? What's wrong with what he's saying? I don't understand. Yeah, that person's a very passable trans person. What's wrong with them? Like, yeah, maybe figure out ways to reach out to other dudes and be like, what's going on? You don't have to be like cringe about it. Message your guy friend and be like, hey brother, how are you doing today? How have you been? How are you? How are you? Guys in the chat, how are you? How are you today? Willie Mack. How are you today? How do you feel? No? No trauma dumping.
We don't need women to talk to us to like, help their emotional maturity. Listen, having female friendships, they're not all of a sudden just
I don't think it needs to be that deep. Just ask a guy how it is.
He's my emotional maturity.
Alleviates everything.
Yeah, it's so condescending whenever I hear fucking people. It's women who want to do this all the time. You need some female.
I'm gonna replay what he said because I feel like it wasn't. This isn't the response I would have.
How you can, in your small little community, really, really
off on us.
Wow. I know how to build friendships, and it is still really, really hard. Try to think about how you can, in your small little community where you feel safe, can reach out to the men in your life and just help them feel maybe seen for a moment. Or
I think that's beautiful.
Do little conversations to help their emotional maturity so that they can reach out to people and have deeper.
Now I see why they're okay. What they're saying makes sense now. It's that fucking I missed the dig. I missed the dig. All right, I missed the dig a little bit. Okay, so the dig there is it's stop. It's just always got to be a fucking dig. Listen to it.
Do little conversations to help their emotional maturity so that they
to help their fucking emotional maturity. Why? That's the dig, guys. It's like infantilizing men. This guy's silly. He's a fucking silly goose. Okay. You could have just said reach out to men and give them an atmosphere that makes them feel comfortable with opening up. But don't expect too much because a lot of guys won't open up too much, and that's okay. But sometimes it's like, how are you? It feels nice, you know. You don't have to get into it. Like if your expectation, reaching out to like one of your male friends and be like, hey, how's it going? Don't expect like, oh man, I'm having a real rough time right now. Probably not going to get that. But starting the dialogue of how you doing? Oh, I'm actually doing pretty good today. You know, people don't ask that question, but like to phrase it as like emotional maturity, it comes off as like a little annoying and condescending. You know, even if it wasn't intended, and I don't think it was intended to be like that, but like it's so frustrating when the discourse just has to take a jab. Like this is the second jab that was taken, right? So it's like, you know, and I don't think it's meant poorly, but it's like, you know, you're insinuating that men don't have emotional maturity. I think that like emotional stuff tends to be a little bit more difficult for men sometimes. Absolutely. I just wouldn't phrase it as emotional immaturity because it comes off as condescending, you know?
They can reach out to people and have deeper guy friends.
Ugh, see, you have to fuck it up. Yo, your whole fucking invitation rescinded. Ugh. We don't need women to talk to us to like, help their emotional maturity. Listen, having female friendships, they're not all of a sudden.
I also don't think he was just talking about women. I think he was talking about. Well, I guess that would be the implication, actually.
Just raise my emotional maturity.
But even as another man, reach out to a male friend. You know, what's up, brother?
It's everything.
Yeah, it's so condescending.
Yep. How you doing? I'm living the dream. That's what it was at work. How you doing? This one guy. I wish I was like you, kid. I love it. I wish I was like you, kid. I love it. I love it.
Sending whenever I hear fucking people, it's women who want to do this all the time. You need some female friends so they can elevate your. Yo, shut the.
I don't believe any woman at any point in time has ever said. Well, maybe some women. I don't know. The only woman I would say that your partner is not going to say you need some more female friends. Listen, that could be a little sussy depending on the context. So.
Fuck up. When you hear men ever say women need to have male friends to elevate anything,
My God.
that shit is so condescending, and this is the shit I don't like.
It does,
because
yeah, it does
all
come
they
off as
ever
condescending.
do, this issue, all they ever do when they talk about men's relationship with other men is speak negatively about it. They do never speak about it positively, and the reason why it annoys the shit out of me is I know how positive those relationships are and how irreplaceable.
Yeah, I mean, I went on like a 10-minute tangent at the beginning of this talking about how like anytime a woman will express a frustration to a society, at least on the internet, she gets validated relentlessly, probably over-validated. But anytime a man does it, like they get under-validated. So yeah, I agree with this.
Well, they are. Now, I don't shit on women having friendship with women. I think it's great. Okay, I think it's great. I think it offers things, and you should have it if you can. Okay, but I don't know why men's relationship with other men is always seen as lacking or trash or whatever it is. It just takes more effort to foster, and it's just a different kind of reward.
I'm not even going to say that it takes more time to foster. I'm going to say that it's really just different because, you know, I got both. I got male friends, I got female friends. It's not inherently just more difficult to foster marriage. It's just really different. All right, I'm not. No, it's.
I'll say
I'm not. Right, and I have female friends, and it does not alleviate. It's just a different shit.
Yeah, I mean, just because you had a woman friend doesn't mean like I'm gonna like fucking dump on that. Unless she was into that. But I guess the implication here is that like a woman friend would be more open to your feelings. I guess maybe. I don't know.
Can you?
I just get a fucking girlfriend, bro, or a wife. Well, it takes a while to foster that. You're gonna probably want somebody else that's more grounding. I don't know. We should talk more about talk to your parents. You know, if you're fortunate enough to have a parent you can confide in, you know, it's really just about finding the person that you could talk to about things. So.
You understand women's perspective a little bit better? Sure, but it does not necessarily alleviate what you're living.
I'll say that, and I'll tell you why it's easier to foster women.
Or honestly, you could just jerk off. That makes me feel better. I have another tough day. All right. Yeah. Woo. Not anymore. You know what I mean? You know, you let your mind blink out a little bit. You do what you got to do, brother. You know.
Invest more time in their friendships than men do, and women are just more open in general. So it's a lot easier for them to not only make friends, but deepen.
Honestly, if you're a straight man or any type of man really, but a straight guy, make friends with a gay dude. Because you know what? First of all, gay men are a little bit more in touch with their feelings, right? See, that's a better way than saying a lack of emotional maturity. Gay men seem to be a little more in touch with their feelings. And they'll hit on you, and as long as they don't cross a boundary, and it makes you feel good about yourself. All right, one of my wife's friends, he's gay, and he has a gay husband. Who would have thought, right? And you know, he hits on me sometimes, you know, lightly. I'll you know, like a little bit here and there. Gives me an extra strong hug, a couple extra seconds. Feels nice, right? It's a nice thing to feel. That's what it comes down to. So. Think about it. Think about that.
Those bonds because they have more flexibility and they prioritize their friendships more.
He's talking about, make more friends with women, have more women friends. I have both. Not saying that a women are making more friends with themselves. Yeah, women are able to make friends with themselves and everything and stuff. I'm talking about as a man perspective, having friends, man friends, and having women friends. Having women friends, that does not necessarily alleviate anything. What I see, and that's what I live, my live experience, right? Okay. So I'm going to talk about what I live, right? Sure. At some point, it can be easier with men because it's not going to be as much as a fuss if we don't talk. Because they kind of need that thing, they need that energy a little bit more, or that reassurance that you're still here and still friends. It's actually easier for a man because I don't have to. If we don't talk, we don't talk. It's not a thing. Mm-hmm. I'm not pissed off, so it's gonna be easier with a guy than with a girl.
I think I understand what he's saying. Okay, guys are a little bit lower maintenance emotionally.
Yes, but for a friendship to deepen, you have to invest in each other. That's just is what it is. Yeah. So whether we or not we need to talk every time or whatever, that's not the point. Mm-hmm. Is if you want a relationship to deepen.
Guys, I'm feeling upset because my hair looks so good. It's got a Pangea going on up there. Wow, I'm balding more. Incredible stuff. Incredible stuff.
You have to spend time. You have to actually have conversations.
Sure.
And women are just far more likely to do that than men are. That is that is statistically true. So because women are making more of an effort, obviously their relationships are going to feel deeper or faster deeper in terms of fostering that friendship there.
Right. They're going to be able to talk a lot, but they're going to be able to talk more. But they often talk more about their feelings, right? When you talk about your feelings, it's a different thing. And if you have to say something about them, it can become very much more complicated than if it's a guy. If I have a problem with my guy friend, I'm going like, yo, listen, this happened. They really appreciate that. We're going to talk it out and everything's going to be fine. Oftentimes with a woman...
I feel like that's not necessarily true. If I have a problem with a guy friend, you just don't talk about it for like a week and then you're just friends again. I don't know. That's my experience. You just say annoyed for a week and then you move on, you know?
If I'm like opened and I'm like, yo, this and that happened, it's that. What I said turns into how she felt about what I said and no longer about what I said.
I disagree a little bit because I know what he's saying, but the only thing that I would say is different is I feel like two dudes are much more likely to interpret an event the same than a guy and a girl, right? So I don't think it's as much as like I think for two guys you might have like a problem and then you either ignore it and it goes away because you're both like you're kind of on the same page, or you talk about it and you both know where the other one's coming from more easily because you're both guys and you have like a similar life experience.
Pestilence became a member.
Thank you so much. The King Gut. Incredible stuff. I appreciate that a lot. When it comes to like a woman, and this is my experience of being in a relationship with my wife, and she's my best friend, an event can happen, and then the two people will have a very different interpretation of that event. Okay. And since or a man and a woman will have a very different interpretation of that event, because there's different interpretations of everything. That's pretty much it. I mean, like, you might have... I'm trying to think of a specific scenario where something might happen. Okay, like, sure, I'll make it, like, really simple. So let's say my wife asks me to, like, do the dishes. I don't know. How the fuck am I going to articulate this? If I don't do it, that might be an interpretation to her that... I don't know if this is even going to be good. I don't even know. So I've heard that might be an interpretation of like I don't care about what's going on in the house as much as she does, and then she gets frustrated. And for me, I forgot, right? Or there's times where this is an interesting one too. Let's say like I will only do what my wife tells me to do around the house, and it sounds weird. I feel like a lot of men can resonate with that. The reason is because my wife is basically the boss of the house. She cares more about the house. She's the one who makes the financial decisions on like the decorations. Obviously I make the financial decisions on like the repairs and whatnot, but she'll make the decorations. So this is her house. And so I will do what she wants. You want me to do dishes? She writes it down and it's done. But I won't usually do more than what's asked of me. To her, that's me sometimes can be perceived as me being passive aggressive of like, oh, what the fuck? To me, I'm just doing what I'm fucking told, bro. And I feel like that is one of those things where like a guy I think would get it. Like a guy would get it. Like if you saw the list that I had every day for I forgot to do something. I have to pay like bill. Anyway, if you saw the list, you would go, okay, yeah, you did what's on the list. But a woman might be like, well, why this also needs to be done? It's right there. Why didn't you do that as well? Right? So like let's say if I went downstairs and I was told to flip the laundry to the dryer, and I went downstairs and I did that, and then a woman or my wife or other one would be like, well, why didn't you just start the next load of laundry? There's clothes, there's dirty clothes right there, and it's enough to fill the laundry. For me as a guy, I'm not even thinking about that. I'm just like, boop, boop, I'm going doing what I'm told. And I kind of feel like that's the interpretation with, generally speaking, with men versus women when it comes to that kind of stuff. So that's why it turns into a greater conversation, because you guys have a different interpretation on a particular event.
Mm-hmm. So in that sense, it's going to be very hard. It's going to become very hard. Where on the male counterpart, it's often this and that and the third happened. That's how I feel. Well, that's how you feel? Well, I don't feel. And there's going to be a discussion about what happened. Whereas on a woman's side, you're going to have a discussion, and it's going to be about how she feels about what you said. Oftentimes. Okay. So that can be very difficult when you try to deepen a conversation or how you feel about certain things. Even not only necessarily if there's something that happens with that person, or just talking about different stuff in general. You want to talk about a subject, and it turns into how that person feels around that subject. And when you talk to men, oftentimes we talk about the thing. Like we have to decipher a lot of things before we get to the core of the subject that we're talking about. And that's why I feel sometimes
damn, Abba had to edit that down because Preacher was on a rant, he's on a tangent, bro.
Easier with men and it's faster with men. But that's just how I see things.
Yeah, sure. I think I think maybe you find the pathway to being in a friendship with men maybe easier. I think for most
You tuned in late. What's the point of this discussion? It's about a trans man, like so somebody was born a woman and transitioned to a man. Seeing some struggles associated with being a man, especially when it comes to a relationship.
Dudes, that pathway doesn't even really start because most dudes report not having any friends or maybe 1 or 2 friends at most. Whereas women,
Cyrax, by the way. Even know who that is.
Have a much healthier social life and have better ties to their families as well because women invest more times in their friends and their family, which I think is a wonderful thing. They're proud. Most dudes report being in a friendship with men maybe easier. I think for most dudes that pathway doesn't even really start because most dudes report not having any friends or maybe 1 or 2 friends at most. Whereas women have a much healthier social life and have better ties to their families as well because women invest more times in their friends and their family.
Yeah, and I think that we should teach men to do the same thing. Even now, like my wife is the one who keeps in contact with my own family, and like she'll tell me when parties. It's just like for some reason as a man, that's just not something I want to engage in. I probably should, but
which I think is a wonderful thing. They're prioritizing the things that matter. Men struggle with that, okay? Or men struggle. Now, when they do foster those relationships,
I know some people will be like, well, there's the emotional immaturity for men, but again, and I mean, you could classify it as that, but I think that comes off as just disrespectful. Whereas you could just say that there is like men need to be a little bit more open. Emotionally, I wouldn't call like a woman who works a lower paying job like a financially immature. You know what I mean? Like there's gonna be general differences. So the expression of it comes off as shitty.
I do think that they're more powerful in my personal experience, but I think women are far more apt at engaging in social lives than men are. Men will spend their days gaming. They'll spend their days doing a lot of other things. But as far as like making time to see their friends or see their family, a lot of time that'd be a
squeezing some peas out. You know what I'm saying?
Secondary where women use seats at the top of their priorities. So that's just something I noticed, and it's not just from that. Even from work, like men will forego vacations or forego spending time with the family much more likely than women in terms of Christmas or things like that. If it means they can make
wives always want to go on a fucking vacation,
make more money.
But I will say that like when I do, because my wife likes going on vacation more than me, and she likes like mini like weekend things, like we're going camping this weekend and I'm not looking forward to it. I really don't want to. I'd rather stay in the house and work. But historically when my wife tells me to go on vacations, we go together, it tends to be really good for me mentally, and it gives me like an actual break from doing work, and like I get to breathe. So it's a good thing. So
prioritize things differently. Maybe that's because of relationship expectations or what kind of pressure society puts on men to be overachievers, but it's clear women are just better at fostering relationships than men are. If you're being honest, most dudes have a hard time making friends. Most dudes have a hard time making friends. I suspect that for those guys, being in a relationship with them is probably also really tough for women because all of their social interactions just come from the women. I imagine that gotta be kind of weird. That's never been me personally, but I could see that being a bad thing. You know what I'm saying? Like you got no friends, and then you start dating a girl, and she's the only
friend, and then her friends become your friends.
True, there you go. You share friends.
Or a couple friends. That's the thing. Becomes his friends as well. Because he ain't got no friends. So whenever there's outings or a couple outings, they go together.
My wife and I are looking forward to making friends once we have a kid, and like we put them in school and stuff. We could be friends with the other parents. It'll be fun.
So they start to connect, but it's on her side. That does not rarely happen.
So when he starts hanging out with her friends solo?
I mean, no, not really. But the only connection that he has with the outside and other people is at work or the friends of the girlfriend.
Okay.
Then that's still weird. Like it's a one-way thing, you know what I mean? Or people keep colleagues at work and stuff like that. Anyway.
But yeah, I guess for the trans man becoming a man for him basically meant that he realized that men were lonely, and he wishes that essentially women could help men learn how to foster friendships better. Okay, well I think it begs the question, which I think is a really important
I agree with that.
one. It's like, why do you think men struggle to make friends? Because
maybe I don't know. That's a good question. I don't really know. Did this used to be a problem? Because maybe it is because men spend too much time playing video games and shit, But I wonder, I really don't know what it is.
Because maybe his suggestion's not crazy, right? Maybe when he says women need to teach men, maybe there's some truth to it. Let's take a step back before we go, hey, fuck you, which I already did earlier.
Well, yeah, but that was just because the person said that, like, they made like a snark, like a snide. Well, it felt like a backhanded compliment almost, I guess.
And let's say there's some. What can women teach men about?
The backhanded compliment, but you know what I mean. It came off as like a little bit of like a men are emotionally mature. And what's funny is if somebody's like Papa Gut, like you're getting too triggered by that person saying that you're too emotionally mature. I thought you wanted me to express my feelings. You don't win feminism. If feminists watch this and they're like, wow, Papa Gut got a little offended by this person insinuating he was emotionally immature. But aren't you telling men to express their feelings and how they feel about stuff? So like that's completely valid for me to say that. And you have to acknowledge that and why that would make me feel uncomfortable. You have to, by your own rules, feminism. So go fuck yourself. I'm allowed to be too sensitive to that. So, how do you like that?
About friendship, is that something that we can really learn? Is it something biological, social?
Probably.
Okay,
Probably.
cool.
I think there's a possibility of there. You know, I'm just being a bit open, being a little bit more available. Like, I learned that having girlfriends, I learned that when they bring up a problem, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up.
What? Why?
They don't want your solution.
Well, okay,
They want to vent. The first step.
that is very sussy. But there is a level of truth to that. When my wife will vent about something, and I'll give her feedback on what she should do. So sometimes when she's not in the mood for constructive criticism, she'll say, "I don't want you to tell me anything. I just want to vent." And then I go, "Among Us," because that's just the guy I am. And I actually do that. If she knows that if she says the word vent, I will absolutely just go, "Among Us." Sometimes I'll just stare and go, "Among Us, Among Us, Among Us, Among Us." I don't know why I am the way I am, but she's accepted me. Are they saying it's biological? Yeah, it might be. I mean, that they're exploring the idea that it might be. I don't think that they're saying that it's biological, and they're probably referencing like men tending to be more territorial. So that could be part of it.
Yo, this and that happened. Don't try to be logical with that shit. Don't try to solve the problem. That's not what they're here for.
I always try to solve the problem, and then if they don't like it, they can express to you that they don't like it, because you want to know what? There's nothing wrong with that. All right.
They need to vent, and I think that's a
like I personally, I would give your advice or opinion on what they're talking about, and if they specifically say I don't want you to, then don't do it. But outside of that, like, do what you're gonna do. Like, honestly, like, there's nothing wrong with it. Them be like, I have these problems. Be like, oh well, here's how you could potentially fix it. Even if they get frustrated, if they're like, I don't want the solution right now, that's fine. But don't like, because then you're not gonna be able to communicate very well. Because if it's your natural tendency as a person, whether you're a man or a woman, to try to give solutions to problems to people, and they vent to you, like, do that. But also make sure, like, you don't want to. I think that not engaging in their problem to give a solution is going to cause you to not have an actual conversation anymore. They're just going to talk at you, and you're not going to listen to them because they you know what I mean? So listen to them, possibly give them some advice, be constructive about it. And if you're somebody, especially, or I guess typically a woman that's asking or venting to your partner and they give you advice, don't just stop venting to them. Just tell them, I don't want the advice right now. You know what I mean? You got it. There's a middle ground there. So there's a middle ground there.
It taught me to read a bit more into what people wanted and stuff like that. So same thing that happens with, like, I was able to transfer that into my guy friends and understand what they just need to be listened to, or just not sometimes not me poking at them to see more information and stuff like that. Just letting the door open, and more time than ever, they don't say shit. Like my guy friends, they don't open up right away, but they know I'm available and open. Mm-hmm. We move on to other things.
But women don't open up right away either. They go like this, and you go, "What's wrong?" Nothing. Okay. And then, you have to ask about 7 or 8 times, and if they don't respond, if you move on without asking them enough, then you're in trouble because you didn't constantly harass them about what's wrong with them until they told you. So guys do that too. It's just funny.
And then they're gonna proceed into eventually later on, when they're ready on their own time, talk to me about whatever the hell going on. But the girl side, when they come to you, oh yo, this and this and this should happen, and this, shut the fuck up. Nah, listen. But there's not much to say at some point, you know what I mean?
I don't think men need to take away women's vulnerability. I don't think they need to take away from them, like how women engage in conversation and venting, all that other bullshit. Because I'm not trying to hear that shit. A girlfriend, that's already enough. I ain't trying to hear that from everybody else. But I will say this. One thing men need to do, and this is something I tell dudes even in dating.
Jerk off more.
Get some fucking hobbies that make you a little bit
Get some hobbies. That's what I was going to say.
social, 1. And 2, men got to prioritize relationships.
Well, obviously.
It is true, especially like even if we're going into the realm of dating. Like, I know a lot of people will talk about how frustrating it is as a man to try to do like dating online. They're like, yeah, I liked, I swiped right or whatever on like 20 girls, and not one of them liked me back. And it's like, yeah, that does suck. For a guy though, most relationships don't come from the online sphere. It's more and more every day, but from my understanding, it's like 90+% are not from that. A lot of relationships are met through work, through family, friends, not family, hobbies, things like that, things of that nature. And so engaging in some kind of a public hobby might actually put you out into the world more. But that's a struggle for men too, is putting themselves out. And I feel like that's a struggle for everybody, honestly. Putting yourself out in the world, the algorithm of the world. Why did I say that? Putting yourself out there can be a little bit frustrating and difficult sometimes. right? But you know,
Look at hobbies.
Well, you can take any kind of hobby, whatever it is that brings you around people that allows you for having social interaction. It doesn't even have to be with the opposite sex. When I say dating, I say dance-related stuff because you're often with the opposite sex. But even hobbies that bring you around other dudes, you know, like for most men, their friendships actually come from their hobbies. When you join a bike group, when you join a gun club, when you join those things, or a golf course.
Listen, I just have something to say. Okay, I just have something to say. All right, listen, I just have something to say. Okay. Motorcycle club. That's. You know, I'm just saying it's Pride Month, and that's probably the number one thing you could celebrate. Okay, God, the fucking motorcycle club is so weird. Just kidding. It's funny. I had a boss at work. I had a couple bosses actually liked motorcycles a lot. They used to drive down to Florida on their motorcycles for like a whole event, and then as they get older, they drive their truck down, but like they have it in tow, like in like a locker or whatever you'd say. But one of them, it was my boss. He was like my direct boss. This was a boss. He was a manager for the company. He was my boss, right? This motherfucker, you would call him sometimes, call out or whatever, and if you didn't pick up the phone, he'd go to his voicemail, and his voicemail was like, "Yo, it's me," like, you know, his name, AKA Big Daddy, and then it would go on to leave a message. That was his work phone message. Was AKA? It was like, "Hey, it's me, you know, such and such, AKA Big Daddy. You know, leave a message at the beep." It was just so silly. It was so silly.
They see their friends.
I would never want to ride a motorcycle. One time when I was at work, I was actually talking to a guy at work about motorcycles, how dangerous they were, and how that's basically like a death machine. And he gets off, he gets quiet, and he gets annoyed at me, and I didn't know why. And then he left. He parked his bus, and I saw him drive out of the lot on a motorcycle. So I think he was a little irritated with that. Yeah.
That's how they do it. It's through activities. A lot of men have social activities that are generally antisocial, or they'll spend all their day gaming, but nothing in person.
Well, that is like an antisocial behavior. Well, not antisocial like big clinical, but like video games can be, they can be something that you make friends over. It's a little hard when you play a toxic online video game and you're yelling at each other, because like it's impossible. You can't make friends like, oh, let me go play my Call of Duty. You know, you're playing with a teammate. Something happens that goes wrong. Oh, fuck you, you suck. Slur, slur, slur. You know, like, that's how I would never play a game like that. I'm a good person. Okay, but that's what has happened to Okay, Dota 2, over 10 years ago. So it's hard to develop friendships through like team games because like they might be having a great game and also they just suck. You know, you don't want to get dragged down. Games tend to be a little bit like don't necessarily encourage like positive social interaction. Maybe like a World of Warcraft, and I'm getting like way into it now because I'm a nerd a little bit. But even like MMORPG games and RPG type games are becoming more and more appealing more and more to a single player audience of people. You know, like every MMO that comes out now is basically like a solo game that you can play with people. They have so many different things that don't encourage social interaction. You know, there's a lot of different aspects there. So, yeah.
I'm not saying online relationships are nothing, but I'm just saying generally they're not a substitute for a lot of real life relationships. So men don't invest enough in social hobbies. Women do.
Go ahead. Said dancing. That's gay.
True. Or if it's not gay, it's you cucking other people, right? Taking their wives. So when you're not being homosexual, you're stealing other men's wives. Whatever. Don't explain to me how that's both gay and cucking. Well, it is what it is.
They're talking about when he was dancing with somebody, and Abbott danced with Destiny's wife, wife, right? And then Fresh and Fit called it gay, but also said that they were stealing. I don't know, but then people would also say, well, the Red Pillars were calling it gay, that he knew how to dance, but then also he was stealing a man's wife, so that guy was getting cucked. And it's like, yeah, how do you do both at once? How are you a gay man that steals women? Doesn't make any sense.
All this just
Schrodinger's dancer.
I don't know what
gay and cooking other people.
I'm going cook a bunch of dudes
tonight. You gonna cook up?
I get on my bike. I'm gonna.
That's cool. I feel like I don't know dancing. I think I'm too self-conscious to dance. You know.
Just wheel over there, cuck, and then come back.
Shit.
Anyway, okay. You guys want to see more? It's on my Instagram.
What you doing, Abba? Going out there cooking?
What are you cooking tonight? Your wife.
Going out there cooking.
What's for dinner? We cooking your wife. Anyways, like I said, invest in some hobbies. Okay. I've seen too many guys who have zero hobbies. They just have their work life. They go to a bar and they go home.
That's not a hobby.
If your social life,
You could meet somebody at a bar, I guess. But
struggling,
You meet another drunk.
get some fucking hobbies, bro. Social hobbies too.
Get into martial arts. Get into.
Yeah, people's sense of community and friendships come from these things. That's what people are lacking. It's not women coming here to do. It's like dudes got to prioritize these things. You know, they got to make time for their friendships, because then all of a sudden a year goes by, you ain't seen your homies. It's like, yeah, we still homies. That's great, but you got to invest that time. You got to put that effort in. If you guys don't make that time to see each other, those relationships will start to fade. And while you guys are still going to be happy to see each other, you're going to miss on important moments in each
Just like my hair.
other's lives. Times you guys could have been there. Times you could have shared when you were struggling. So that comes with priorities. That's not some, yes, women do that and that's great. But that's not something women can give to us. That's something that we have to take for ourselves. That comes from reevaluating how we view things, valuing our families, seeing our mothers, our sisters, our brothers, whatever it is. So what do I take away from this video? What his experience is, I understand, welcome. But I don't agree with the solution that we have to be more like women per se. I think that men just need to rearrange their priorities for sure.
Yeah, I don't think that person made that point specifically about being more like women, but yeah,
Sure.
I tend to agree.
I think that's what I would take away from it the most. Change those hobbies. Anything else? Nah. But anyways, let us know what you guys think in the comments. We want to hear from you.
Yeah, I thought that was fine. I don't know why people were upset with that.